stage.
King Andile Mama.
So everybody in the house, give a warm round of applause for
King Andile Mama.
And he captures the moment.
King Andile Mama.
Man, it is extraordinary.
UEFA Champions League final as well as the Nedbank Cup final. What do the guys think? Mark?
I'm going to go for a Dortmund win. That's just my heart speaking and not my head.
Nadim Lukele.
It's your heart speaking. Okay, that's an interesting heart. But
let's move on to our local shores here. Michael Morton! Michael, what do you make of the final?
Yeah, well,
Mike, you're not sitting on the fence on this one, but
once and always.
Ula, I think Orlando Pirates is going to beat Mamelodi Sundowns by 2-1.
Who's had the most yellow cards in the DSU Premiership this season?
Sundowns.
How many?
I don't know, but I know
69! Coach Morgan Mamila now joins me 4 times now.
Yes.
You've been fired from Sheba.
Frankly and be honest, it's not the chairman who fired me.
So who fired you?
It's not the chairman who fired me.
It's Chipper's club and Chipper runs his club.
No, it's not chairman who fired me.
Who fired you, Morgan?
That one I can't.
Who fired you?
I was supposed to drive to
Limpopo today,
but
I asked you to be here. Chilani's out in Durban. Chilani.
I think you should have gone to Limpopo because a simple question: who fired you? He can't answer that. And why did he accept your invitation? I understand why he got fired.
Stephen de Kock now joins us on the line. Stephen.
Thank you, Ndile. It's always a pleasure, and it's always great chatting tennis with you. You're the hardest person on radio these days.
Hey man, say it loudly. The sports awards are listening.
Sports Night Amplified with Ndile on Metro FM. Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Game over.
8 after the hour 6 on the mighty Metro FM. Welcome to it. It is Sports That Amplified with Andile. I am Andile Ngube. I'm not alone. Got my whole team with me. And today, all the contributors that we love so much are coming on the show. But firstly, we have to give respect, applause, and just a bow to the best when it comes to Drive Team. Yeah, Thibaut Touch. I wish you, we do have cameras, right? You guys must follow us on, if you don't already, on Instagram, because I feel like Timmy and I need to stop wearing our sportswear and start dressing up. Do you see Loot Love and Thibaut Touch every day? Different color coats, Chief. Pink coat yesterday, leather long coats today, looking like Shaft. It's crazy. It's like a runway here. Between 3 and 6, it's a proper runway here. They're back again tomorrow. Last time to see them this week, looking as they do. Dapper. Between 3 and 6. It's exactly 9 after the hour 6. Whenever some of our favorites when it comes to contributors on the show. Omar Kaktugba, UEFA accredited journalist and founder of Oma Sports TV, is going to be joining us. He is following the Euros. He is covering the Euros as a journalist. He's in the rooms where the coaches and the players are. He's asking the questions out in Europe, and he'll be delivering all that information here to us in South Africa. He has a huge following of South Africans that have since taken on Oma as their news credible source in Europe and in Africa. It's Oma, O-M-A, Akaktugba, a.k.a. T-U-G-B-A. Make sure that you do follow him. He'll be talking to us about the Nigeria-South Africa game. I want to ask him how he feels about the treatment of flights and arrivals and how South Africans get treated whenever they have to go to Nigeria. And then we'll speak the Euros. because, there's the friendly matches that are going on now in preparation for the Euros. I watched France last night. I watched Spain last night, and I caught glimpses of the England game as well. Omar is there. He's attending some of the games, so he'll talk to us about that. And the imminent arrival now in Spain of, what's going to be a huge reception when he finally does go, Mbappe to Real Madrid. So we'll have that conversation. And then also, that's not going to be all. Also, we have to speak to Mazola Molefe, because if Moroka Swallows is for sale, how much is it for sale for? And what do we know about Moroka Swallows Football Club being for sale? How much do we know about that? Are there any takers so far? He broke the story. It is on sabcsport.com. We'll speak to Mazola Molefe about that one too. And then, towards the end of the show, you want to listen on, because there could be something in it for you. We've got a special guest that's coming on to speak to us from Engine, because I've got the knockout challenge happening. So Tsolutiro is going to be here. She's the Engine sponsorship manager. She'll be joining us in a few as well. Let's take a break. When we come back, Oma is our guest.
Uninterrupted and uncapped entertainment begins here. Get Telkom unlimited LTE all hours 20 megabits per second for 599 Rand per month, or get core fiber 50 by 25 for 619 Rand per month. Sign up to an LTE or fiber plan and get a 3-month subscription to Prime Video on us, so you can press play on all the thumbs up movies and shows. Call 10213, click telkom.co.za, or go to any Telkom shop. T's and C's apply.
ShopRite brings you South Africa's biggest basic food subsidy. Save on 1.35 kg Sweet Pix, 6 1-litre Right Brand milks, 750 grams Ricoffee, and 2 kg Hewlett's brown sugar, all for 299 Rand. Get 5 kgs Iwisa, Nyala or Super Sun maize meal, just 54.99 each. And a value pack of Pampers nappies or pants, only 179.99 each. Valid until 9 June. Only at ShopRite.
Seize the chance to win your share of 2.5 million Rand every month with Spinner Zone. Get prize drops. Stake 2 Rand or more on selected pragmatic play games every Monday, Tuesday and Thursday between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. Hollywood Bet. Take a spin with us.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Ever wondered what goes into a bottle of Benylin? There's so much more than meets the eye, like over 2,500 checks every step of the way, and a tamper evidence safety seal, so the Benylin you open is the Benylin we packed. You see, with Benylin, you aren't just getting a soothing cough syrup. You can rest assured you are selecting the quality checked and time-trusted choice. Visit benylin.coza to learn more.
Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
It's exactly 13 after the hour 6 on the mighty Metro FM. It's South Africa's biggest sports show and Africa's favorite. Speaking of Africa's favorite, he is one of Africa's favorites, and most certainly my favorite, my good friend Omar Akatugba. We met on the internet and had a great time at the Africa Cup of Nations, where we just bonded, and because of our common love for all things African and, of course, football as well. He is a UEFA accredited and a CAF accredited journalist and founder of Oma Sports TV. He'll be covering the Euros as a journalist. He'll be in the rooms asking the coaches questions, as we've seen him before, with the likes of Pep Guardiola, with the likes of Mourinho, etc. This is the man we speak to when we want to speak European football with an African eye. It's Omar Katugba. Omar, welcome.
Hi, Andile. Good to be on your show again, and thanks for the introduction as usual.
Hey, man, I always
feel like a celebrity anytime.
Listen, my friend, you and I don't always agree, but I love your point of view because it's so factual. So let's go. We have a lot of issues to cover. Perhaps let's start here. You would have seen the England national team. The squad has been announced. Of course, Harry Maguire is out, and we already knew that Marcus Rashford was going to make the team. But the latest casualty, and the one everybody's talking about, is the Premier League winning team member in Jack Grealish. Grealish didn't make the team.
I mean, that's ludicrous, to be honest. I mean, I don't... Anyways, perhaps, maybe because at some point he wasn't really doing as expected of course, fantastic player, but, most times these coaches, they judge based on current, form as per the time they are making their selections. I don't think that Grealish has been very spectacular over the course of the season. Perhaps that's why. And, we're talking about England here. There's tough competition to be in the England squad. And, the name is big. But if you look at the England squad and the level of competition that it requires to get into that squad, you will not be really surprised. They've got a lot of players in there. Phil Foden, who he's the best footballer right now from England, one of the best footballers in the world. You've got Bukayo Saka, you've got Jude Bellingham. It's a golden generation actually for England. So not much of a surprise. But then again, there's this school of thought that believes perhaps it deserves a place in that team. If the players like Kante, who has gone to Saudi Arabia, where some people call the retirement league, is making the French squad, people like you to look at that and say, why am I from England maybe?
Yeah, I watched the French game last night, and Kante is still, one of the best players on the field on that day. Jake Grealish didn't have the greatest of seasons for club.
Yes.
Were you surprised Marcus Rashford didn't even make the preliminary squad?
Not really. Rashford also really, really fell off. He had a very stellar moment, but wasn't consistent. And, he's one of those players at United that a lot of people have heavily criticized for having too much player power. Perhaps is suffering for having too much power at United. Maybe that didn't allow him to really reach his full potential, and the result is what we have right now. Again, it's England. They are in a moment now where they have a host of quality players in all departments. The manager has a difficult job, a job of picking the best out of the best. That's a difficult job, but a positive problem to have.
You look at the squad, the England squad for the Euros, right? As far as the forwards are concerned, Jack Grealish gets cut off, and James Maddison also, by the way, gets cut off. But you still have, as far as forwards are concerned, Jude Bellingham is in there, Phil Foden is in there, you got Cole Palmer in there, Saka in there, you got Harry Kane in there. That sounds like quite a formidable team.
Absolutely, on paper. Football is crazy. We've seen teams come up with beautiful names, but don't play beautiful football. And we know England, they seem to be perennial underachievers. Yes, they won the World Cup, but I'm sure none of us can remember the year. Was it 1950 or 2000? I can't remember. That's how bad it is for England. And they've always been nearly men. At the last World Cup, they were very close to beating France. They got a penalty, they blew it. And that's basically what they are. They are like Arsenal of international football. Huge reputation, but results not as huge as the reputation. That is something that haunts the English Red Lions. They need to break that jinx. Maybe this is the time. They've got a golden generation, like I said, players like Saka, Foden, Palmer, Foden, and the likes. They've got a lot of work to do. They need to show that at some point, England can be ranked amongst the giant footballing nations. Perhaps this is the time. And in my country, can't wait.
Let's take a look at Portugal, yes, because they're going to be, of course, when you say my country, yes. I think of Nigeria, but you're speaking about your adopted country, which is Germany.
Country, yes, my adopted country.
And we're going to go to Germany now. One other team I want to touch on, because I want to finish it off with Spain, Germany, as well as France here. But Portugal, you look at the players that they've got, and you wonder, are they not one of the favorites? Bruno Fernandes is there, Bernardo Silva is there, you've got Neves and Nunes there, Ronaldo, Jota, Ramos up front, João Felix is in their team. They defense alone. You got Cancelo, you got Silva, Diaz, and Dalot as part of their defense. Surely they are in contention here.
Thank you, first and foremost, for reading out those names. It gives context. It makes you really get a grip of how difficult or how competitive this team is. It is actually very competitive to be in this team, first and foremost. That tells you of the type of competition that they will offer at the competition. They are very solid, got quality players in and out. I mean, gone are the days where you look at the Portuguese team and the name that actually jumps at you is Ronaldo. But right now, yes, Ronaldo based on the huge reputation, but not based on what he can do on the pitch. Ronaldo actually will rely on this squad to achieve success. That is how good this Portuguese team is. I think that they're one of the contenders, and I'm surprised nobody is talking about them. Maybe because of their poor showing at the World Cup, but this is a different tournament, and tournaments are usually different with different spirits, and teams come to these tournaments hoping to erase the errors they made in the past. And Portugal is one of them. Having lost to Morocco at the last World Cup, they have that urge, that eagerness to right all of the wrongs. And Ronaldo always wanting to prove something. And of course, knowing that Messi won the World Cup, that, whether you like it or not, affected his ego, his pride, and his personality. He would want to at least win the Euros. Even if it's not at the same level with the World Cup, we can say I have 2 Euros. So there's so much to play for Portugal, and I think that they have the quality to really achieve success. And it's incredible, hoping to see what they can do.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to finish off the Euro conversation and then go into the Nigeria, South Africa. Your good friend, your man, your mate, the man that you WhatsApp every day, Victor Osimhen, not part of this team, but there's still an arsenal of players.
That's a blessing in disguise.
Hebanna, I want to hear about it. Don't say anything. Let's take a break.
Yes.
Need the right tools to run your small business? With Nedbank, you get the latest Visa, MasterCard, and Amex accepting card payment device delivered to you within 48 hours. Enjoy getting your payments straight into your Nedbank account on the same day. Plus, you could get 100% back on the purchase price of the device. Apply on the Nedbank Money app today. Join the bank that's best for your small business. Nedbank, a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The ShopRite price means you'll get low prices on everything you need. Like 5 kg Farmer's Choice frozen mixed chicken portions for $179.99. 9 Baby Soft 2-ply toilet paper rolls for only $69.99. 50 mils Shield Roll-On for just $21.99. And a pork brie box for just $49.99 per kilo. Valid until 9 June. Only at ShopRite.
The new Galaxy A series celebrates those who only do awesome. Love being on your favorite social media sites viewing awesome video content? Then you'll love the Galaxy A35 5G. Its large vision booster display will take your viewing from to awesome in one touch of the screen. And whether you're viewing by the poolside or the bush side, you can chill because it's also water and dust resistant. Samsung Galaxy A series. Awesome is for everyone.
Bafana, the AFCON 2023 bronze medalist takes on Zimbabwe Tuesday, the 11th of June 2024 at Free State Stadium at 6 p.m. Gates open at 3 p.m. and tickets are available for 50 Rand for adults and 20 Rand for children under 12. Scholars in uniform and students, student card required at Ticket Pro. Come dressed up to support Bafana to win prizes. If you're not in Mangaung, catch the game on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 at 6 p.m. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. For more details, visit safa.net and Bafana on X and TikTok.
Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM.
Chairman of Baroka Football Club, Kurishin Patlele. Your coach, Dan Malisela, he's been on some sort of suspension.
Yes, he's on suspension.
Why is he on suspension, Chair?
Because they have a habit that there's something he's doing behind our back.
What is the habit that you're hearing then, Chair?
The habit we are hearing is that there's some club chairman which are phoning him, discussing about their interest in some of our players.
Dan Malisela joins us on the line as well.
I got a text from one person, somebody I worked for, and
cheaper.
But I didn't take it serious.
Cheaper thing is to send you this text. You don't even entertain it. You don't even reply to it, correct?
No, I don't want to say cheaper. Send me the message.
So it's not cheaper.
No, it's not.
I know who's the chairman. I know who's those chairmen. I know.
6 to 7 p.m.
It's 18:20. You know, when you listen back to some of these conversations, you can't help but laugh. That was the coach and the chairman of Baroka yesterday. Well, you know, the coach on suspension, the conversation we had before we also spoke to Raja Casablanca coach on the show here last night, which is why we moved our conversation so we could give him all the time he needs with Omar Kakdugba to today. Omar, you were still telling me we'll get into the Nigeria conversation and the Victor Osimhen conversation in a bit. So with that being said, England have a strong squad. We agree. Portugal have a strong squad, but I watched France last night. I watched Spain, a young Spanish team. I'm not sure if they can be in contention looking at how much more mature the other teams are. And then there's your national home team, Germany. Who's your favorite?
France, Germany, England, in that particular order. Germany is highly underrated right now for obvious reasons. They've gone through a phase where they couldn't even believe in themselves anymore.
Yeah,
that they started to ask themselves, "Is this the man shaft that we all know?" There's a joke actually going around in Germany, where in a classroom, pupils were asked what their parents do for a living. Everybody mentioned all kinds of professions, and one boy said, "My father works at a strip club." And then they asked him, "Strip club?" He said, "Well, yes, because it's better to say you work at a strip club than to say you play for the German national team." That is how low the German national team has sunk. But they seem to be finding their way back out of the dungeon. They seem to be digging their way back. They won 2 of their last international games against France and the Netherlands. That is a huge confidence booster. And they've got players with solid experience. Toni Kroos back in the squad. You know, he came out of retirement. There's Tony Rudiger, fresh from winning the UEFA Champions League. They've got Jamal Musiala. That is their future.
You gotta love
now.
that boy, though.
Fantastic player, fantastic. Messi is his role model, so what do you expect?
Wow, you would throw that in there, wouldn't you? Mbappe's role model is Ronaldo, just so you know.
Yes, that's true, but anyways, I let that slide.
You know what? Let's move on from the Euros. I want to come back to Africa because you and I are going up against each other. Not only with Ronaldo and Messi, but this time national team for national team.
Bro. Always exciting.
National team for national team. The last time these two teams played, you and I were at the same stadium watching them at the Africa Cup of Nations. It went down to penalties because you couldn't decide between the two. This time around, Nigeria have not been good with the qualifiers, yet to win a game. This South Africa team, you know, is the better team we've had in a long time with the Sundowns players that have been doing so well, the majority of them in that team. Victor Osimhen, another big name. You know, he didn't show up at the Africa Cup of Nations in a way that most thought he would. So here we are, Nigeria versus South Africa. Nigerians didn't treat us well. I mean, when you look at the travel arrangements, were 18 hours it took us to arrive in Nigeria with a lot of stops and goes, and no, the airport is closed. But let's put that behind, Omar. What do you make of this lineup?
Interesting. I haven't seen what happened in Boake. Bro, I was very impressed by South Africa. I was actually first dumbfounded and then impressed because South Africa literally dominated that game. And that was the very first time South Africa dominated a game against Nigeria. Even the one South Africa won in Uyo, the same stadium where they are playing tomorrow, I think that was World Cup qualifier, by 2-0. South Africa really didn't dominate that game. It was smash and grab. But this one, South Africa dominated that game with 63% ball possession as against Nigeria's 38% ball possession. More shots on target. Nigeria had more yellow cards. South Africa had 83% pass accuracy. That was humongous. And I was blown away. And from that point on, I started to really respect Bafana. Before, to be very honest, I always felt it would be a pushover, Nigeria, South Africa. You guys have a collective, we have more talent, and that always comes to the fore. But what you have is getting stronger because football on the continent is becoming more of team ethic rather than individual brilliance. That's why you saw teams like Morocco, Algeria, Ghana, and the likes being knocked out of the AFCON with all their big stars. And Nigeria reaching the final, not because she relied on quality, but relied on team ethic because Nigeria had to recalibrate to a low block and a complete teamwork. Even the Osimhen, like you mentioned, is an individually super player. But individually, he couldn't thrive at the AFCON because Nigeria started to play a different style that relied more on teamwork rather than having individual brilliance decide. Because unfortunately, they couldn't really show up. So the coach had to tweak the formation, which took us to the final. So this game tomorrow, I don't think will be much of a difference because nothing much has happened since the AFCON. South Africa has a team that is playing together every time. It's Moroka Swallows against Nigeria, literally. And that is an advantage for South Africa. But
Sundowns.
Oh, sorry, forgive me. I wanted to say Mamelodi and I said Moroka. Sorry, forgive me. It is Sundowns against Nigeria, and that counts for something for you. Respect to Mokoena, respect to Sitoli, respect to Presitao, respect to Ronwen Williams. I respect South Africa so much right now with a coach like Hugo Bruce. More experienced than the Nigerian coach, who is, in my opinion, a teetotaler at this level, not coached at this level before.
Give us a little background on the current coach. I mean, former player. Of course, we know what happened at the Africa Cup of Nations with you guys as coach. Give us a little bit about an insight on your current coach.
Okay, it's Finidi George, ex-national team player, ex-Ajax player, won the Champions League. He was great as a player, but as a coach, he's still nascent, not so much of experience. He won the Nigerian Premier League with Eyimba, but that's not a big deal as far as I'm concerned because Eyimba are always winning the Nigerian Premier League. So that is his claim to fame. And based off the fact that he was the assistant coach to the Jose Peseiro that left after the AFCON, he was with him for 2 years. So it was an easy transition. He's a man that understands the team already. The players know him. So they felt like it's an easy way to go. But overall, there's still a feeling of doubt across the country as to whether he can really handle this team or not. And the preparations haven't been too good. Coming back to the issues of logistics that affected the Bafana, it wasn't deliberate. Nigeria is always a good host. You know that. We are very hospitable. You have a lot of us in your country. We are very friendly with all South Africans and, all the ladies as well, We're very nice people. And that we always show to our guests. What happened affected even our players. Maduka Okoye just arrived camp yesterday, and that is also because of the strike going on in the country. The airlines are on strike, and people cannot fly within Nigeria. So I want to apologize on behalf of Nigeria. We are usually very hospitable. We are not. We like to win on the pitch, bro. We don't like to play controls.
Listen, the other thing about the coaches, there was the drama with another former Nigerian superstar and super eagle in Daniel Amokachi. I thought
your friend,
my good friend Daniel Amokachi. I thought he would have been the perfect assistant here, but it seems it's not working out.
Yes, I think he didn't like the idea of being a second assistant, and I support him. Amokachi is good enough to even be the gaffer. So asking him to be second assistant to Finidi, I think he felt disrespected, and I understand. If I were in his shoes, I wouldn't take the job. He didn't even sign the contract because he didn't like the offer. I think that he's even more experienced than Finidi, and I don't know the rationale behind choosing Finidi. Of course, I understand that because he's been there, he understands the team, he understands the environment, easy transition. But Amokachi didn't want to be part of that setup, and I understand it. The setup is not inspiring. He doesn't give you confidence. And I just hope that his start will not be a bad one. My feeling is not good, to be very honest with you.
Victor Osimhen is injured. He will not be a part of the team.
Yes.
You said this is a good thing. This is one of the most prolific Nigerian players in the last 3-4 years. African even. Yes, we can say that.
Yes.
What he's done at Napoli, the amount of goals he scored. Yes, he didn't show up at the Africa Cup of Nations in a way that we thought he did. But, in the interview I did with him, he said his job was different at the Africa Cup of Nations. Why is it a good thing that he's not available?
The good thing why it's good is that right now the team will not focus too much on him. There's too much focus on him. Every ball goes to him. That can take away and hidden strength in a team. Nigeria is a country replete with talent. If a player like Victor, who is usually the focal point, isn't there, they will be able to find other options. And we've got Terence Murphy in there. We've got Paulo Noachu in there. We've got, a host of other, very, very quality players who can, rise up to the occasion in the absence of Victor. I think that right now, again, as I said, at the AFCON, we discovered that we are better as a team rather than relying on individual brilliance. And that will be continued in this game against South Africa. Like I said, because Victor is absent, they will be able to show the other areas of strength. Don't forget that in place of a Victor, there's another Victor who just won the German Bundesliga title with Bayer Leverkusen, Victor Boniface. He scored 22 goals this season. He's been in absolute form. So that sort of replaces Victor Osimhen and makes you not to really feel the absence of Victor Osimhen. A Victor for a Victor, and it's a good one.
And there's Lookman as well.
Oh my God, how did I forget that? Bro, I can't forgive myself for forgetting that player. Bro, this is actually the revelation of the African Nations Cup for Nigerians. He came to the party when we all, before the AFCON, everybody were shouting Victor Osimhen, Victor Osimhen. But during the tournament, we realized that there is a guy called Ademola Lookman who has been an unsung hero and is beginning to really take his place of pride, not just in the Nigerian team, but at the global level. 3 goals in the final of the Europa League, the only footballer on earth to have done that. How did I forget that name? I will not forgive myself, Andile.
Well,
thank you.
Well, you're telling me about the strengths of Nigeria up front, but what about the weaknesses in the back? We're hearing most Nigerians not happy with Nwabali being the number 1.
Who said that, bro? That's not true. Listen.
Because Madoke Okoye, some people saying Okoye should perhaps be the one that leads this team from the back.
There's a bit of a division, but to be very honest with you, more people are behind Nwabali. I am Okoye's number 1 supporter. I get a lot of sticks, even online, for just posting his videos without saying anything. People believe I'm pushing an agenda. No. Okoye has been my blood from day one. Whether Nwabali is number 1 or not is not my business. I'm just saying that.
So who's the best of the two then? It's clearly a conversation. Who is the better number 1 for Nigeria? Is it the man that, lit up the Africa Cup of Nations, plays his football in South Africa, or is it one of the favorites when it comes to people like yourself?
To be very honest, it's Nwabali for the following reasons. Like you said, he lit up the AFCON. He was the second best goalkeeper. There was nothing official on that, but I put him as the second best. After all, when we
No. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Exactly. He was superb for Nigeria, and he's grown in confidence. The players love him. A lot of Nigerians love him, and he's been on ground early enough. Maduka Okoye arrived just yesterday. It will not be fair to put him ahead of Nwabali. And to be very honest, Nwabali is absolutely solid. For now, it's Nwabali, but it's a good thing that we now have real competition in that area. 3-4 months ago or 7 months ago, we were shopping the world for a goalkeeper. That's how we found Nwabali. We had goalkeeping crisis, but now that is a thing of the past. So it's a good thing for Nigeria. I put my money on Nwabali, but Maduka Okoye for life.
Okoye, of course, he plays his football at Udinese, and we're hearing that
at a higher level.
At the highest level, he could be moving to Inter even. Those are the rumors. So, that's a choice. Do you go with the guy playing in South Africa who's been good for the national team?
Not even the best club in South Africa. just wanted to rub it.
How do you see it finish? Because when you look at the group, if Nigeria lose this match, it's going to be tough to come out of this. It's going to be tough to qualify after this because you've got Rwanda after 2 games with a surprise package, beat South Africa, sitting on 4 points. South Africa sitting on 3. Nigeria only 2 points. You guys lost against teams that many Nigerians thought would be the whooping boys of this group. It didn't lose, but drew against Lesotho and Zimbabwe, where most thought you'd be getting your 3 points from. It is imperative that you get all 3 here, but you're playing a South Africa team under Hugo Bruce that is not just let them do whatever they want. This is a team that wants to be world beaters.
This is actually one of the best teams on the continent of Africa. South Africa came 3rd at the AFCON, and not because they were not good enough to be in the final. South Africa was better. It was penalty shootout, and that's jackpot. South Africa could have been playing in the AFCON final. So this is a very difficult one for Nigeria, especially because we look like we are just regrouping again after the AFCON. We are yet to really pick up. We played 2 friendly games. We won 1, we lost 1. South Africa, again, like I said, Mamelodi Sundowns, they've been playing together since the AFCON ended. That counts for something. Somehow South Africa seemed to be the favorite for the very first time, despite the fact that the match will be played, in Nigeria. But these are the type of moments where the Nigerian spirit shows up. And these players must really, really show that Nigeria never say die spirit. Because if we don't win this game, like you said, we'll be in a much more difficult place. Because there's Benin Republic next. They are a West African side. They are going to match us strength for strength, maybe not player for player, but strength for strength. And they've got a coach who coached Nigeria before Nigeria hired Jose Peseiro. He knows Nigeria, well, and I think that it will come with some real competition. So it's a dicey one for Nigeria. It's a win or burst against South Africa, in my opinion.
Right, I need to let you go. I think we spent time, but before I do, I saw, because I can't understand this, guys. As you know, Omar works from Germany, but does a lot of African content, comes to Africa as well. Omar got an exclusive that we could never get on the show. Doesn't matter what we do. We've been told straight up, I'm not coming to that show. He had an exclusive with South African Football Association President Danny Jordan, who doesn't talk to me, but we'll talk to Omar. And I introduced him. Can you believe it? Omar.
No, Angile, he spoke to me because of you.
But he won't talk to me. What did you get from the SAFA president?
Well, I learned a lot from him in terms of, how to nip the problems of match bonuses in the board, to rely so much on local players, on the very beautiful story of how South Africa basically hijacked the World Cup from Europe and South America. He said that before then, the World Cup was home and away between Europe and South America, and he came up with a master plan and got the World Cup for Africa for the first time, and as usual, created a memory that the entire world will never forget, that Qatar leveraged on, Morocco is about to leverage on, and change the entire story of the World Cup. To be honest, I don't know how you people see Danny Jordan. I have so much respect for him, and in Nigeria, we see him as an example of a football administrator, because if you are a Nigerian, if you have a Danny Jordan, you feel blessed, because we have some of the most
my friend, the bar in Nigeria set very low, my friend. Let's agree on that.
No, that's very true. That's very true. I can't even argue that. That's an understatement.
Omar Katugba, we're gonna need you. As the Euros are ongoing, I know a lot of South African broadcasters now have realized that you are as amazing as you are. We appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. A friend of the room, my good friend Omar Katugba. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for always making me famous. Thank you.
Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM.
Chairman of Baroka Football Club, Kurishin Patlele, now joins us. You've let go of your coach, Dan Malisela. He's been on some sort of suspension.
Yes, he's on suspension.
Why is he on suspension, Chair?
The rumor does say he's communicating with some chairman about our players.
Dan Malisela joins us on the line as well.
I got a text from one person, and I told my technical team, I said, look at this guy, he wants this player. Just one message.
Bring it to the table. Don't keep it for yourself.
That's why I shared with the technical team there.
What is the relationship now between you and the coach?
I don't have a relationship with him. It's an employer and employee relationship.
Me and him have a very close relationship. We fight.
That's not what he just said.
No, we have. We have a serious relationship. Even on my birthday, he was with me. He bought me meat, a few drinks and all of that. And somebody who doesn't have a relationship with you would not do that.
6 to 7 p.m. Leadership is not determined by your age, but rather by your determination.
And it was clear that young people were willing to do whatever was necessary to fight oppression.
Metro FM. Celebrating the leaders of tomorrow, today. Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
We had a conversation last night with coach out at Raja Casablanca in Morocco, South African coach who now holds, a pro league, a Euro Pro, license. And Fadlu Davids, who works with former Orlando Pirates coach out at Raja Casablanca. They've got one more match to win. If they win the match this coming weekend, they then win the Moroccan League invincibly. They would have done it without losing a single game. He's having an amazing time out there. And we asked him about Coach Nasreddine Nabi, who's been touted to be on the shopping list of Kaizer Chiefs. And I'm going to play that clip tomorrow as to what he had to say when he described the kind of coach that Nabi is. Remember, Nabi is coaching in Morocco at the moment, meaning the two of them interact. They would have played against each other. They would have studied each other as well. I'll let you know what Coach Fadlu Davids had to say about Nasreddine Nabi, and we'll play you that clip tomorrow when the Podcast Friday guys come in here. Mazol. SABC Sports senior reporter Mazola Mulefe, otherwise known as @Super Journal. When are you coming to be a Podcast Friday guy?
Podcast Friday,
Mazola, I can meet her every day, guys. Around easy.
Podcast Friday, but one day is one day.
One day is one day. Hey, it seems one day being one day might be the end of a dream. I mean, I remember when the premier of Gauteng, Panyaza Lesufi, started speaking about this dream of bringing Moroka Swallows back. It was a team that was so far gone, I didn't think it was possible. You know, they brought it back as Swallows Football Club, and then later on got the full rights for it to be Moroka Swallows Football Club. Alongside with David Mukhashwa, they realized the dream of many. They took this team that is a stalwart of South African football, that is a cornerstone of South African football, that is one of the building and the builders of South African football, and they brought it back to full. It seems now that could be a distant, dream again. It seems it could turn into a nightmare, Mazola. What's going on with Moroka Swallows Football Club?
Yeah, the upkeep of Moroka Swallows Football Club at the moment is proving to be too much for the owner, that is Chairman David Mukhashwa. Obviously, he has been, funding it to a large extent. Apart from the 2 million grant from the league, funding it from his own pocket as well, and that's obviously has set back his business from that point of view. And obviously, there's been constant reports and claims even from the South African Football Players Union that Swallows has not been paying salaries and this and that, on top of not being able to get through the sponsorship from Telkom first of all, and then Gold Rush later on because of the clauses around bringing in betting companies and whatever else the executive committee in the league was saying is a conflict of interest when it comes to Telkom. And my understanding, as we broke the story on I think it was on Tuesday, that the Swallows owners are ready to sell. It just depends on whether this checks the due diligence and can be ratified by the Premier Soccer League. But obviously, there's not a lot of time, Andile. Whoever buys needs to have done that at least by the 1st of July, so that they get pre-season, take over the contracts of the players that are still there. Otherwise, David Mukhashwa will be stuck with the team for another season.
Do you know if Panyaza Lesufi is still involved in Moroka Swallows?
My understanding, and this is remember when he was confirmed as the Premier of Gauteng, I actually did an interview with him where he confirmed to me that he was stepping away because his duties as Premier of Johannesburg, of the Mayor of Gauteng, the Premier of Gauteng, did not allow him to be as involved as he had been previously. Whether that is the case behind the scenes, I mean, I don't know for sure, but in an exclusive interview with SABC Sport, he had confirmed that he had stepped away. Of course, we've seen him travel to watch Swallows games, but as far as he's concerned, it's because he's a fan of the club, and obviously the background is that he was part of putting together that consortium and him involved as well of bringing it back alongside David.
And to his defense, I've seen him at other games, including Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates and Sundowns, all the Gauteng-based teams. I've seen him travel to go watch those. So I guess that is to the defense of the Premier. And then we now look at David Mukhashwa that's, been struggling along with the team. I wonder, are there any stipulations in selling the club that says it has to remain Moroka Swallows? You cannot change its name. You cannot change where it's based, etc., etc. Or is it I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. Whoever wants to buy the team, if you want to take it to Bloemfontein and make it Bloemfontein Celtic again, go for it. If you want it to be Andile's 4 daughters or Andile's 4 kids, rather, united, you can do that.
I think it's the exact same scenario as when a big club, an institution such as Bloemfontein Celtic also found itself in that situation where Max Chabalala engaged a few stakeholders that were prepared to keep the name and keep the club in the Free State, but ultimately they couldn't meet his valuation of the club. And Mamkhize came along with 40 million rands, and the statuses exchanged hands, and it became Royal AM. I would assume it's the case with Moroka Swallows at the moment. If there's no one with enough cash in the bank, passes the checks and the due diligence to be able to buy the club and keep it here, the chairman will sell the club to whoever is available, even if it's a Maritzburg United, because obviously it's behind the football corridors. The speculation is rife at the moment that having failed to qualify for promotion outright in the lower division in the Motsepe Foundation and not making the playoffs, Maritzburg United are keen to see if they can also buy a status to come up.
Do we know how much the status is going for?
I mean, I'm not sure how much Swallows or David Mukhashwa is willing to accept, but what I know for a fact is that the last 3 top flight statuses were sold for around 40 million rands. This is Bidvest Vet. It went to Lawrence Masala for about 30 million. Max Chabalala sold to Mamkhize for 40 million. And TX Galaxy and Highlands Park also did a deal in and around those figures. Whether in today's currency or today's economy, that's still the case. Whether there's someone out there, a consortium that's got 40, 50 million lying around and ready to invest in football, that's another story.
I'd love to know, and I know I'm asking you this, and I know you don't know it, but I'd love to know how much debt you buy when you buy that sort of team at the moment, because that struggle has come with a lot of, unpaid bills. Did you get any of that from David? Is that footstoots? Here you go. Let's see what you can do.
Look, from what I understand, even just from personal knowledge of Free State Stars when it was sold ultimately, even though by then it was sold as a lower division team, is that when you get the money from the PSL and there's VAT included, invariably you incur some debt, from some tax debt from that point of view. It's just how you do the numbers and you calculate. So, but I wouldn't imagine it would be too much debt. I wouldn't think it would be like a Max Chabalala who had a 40 million rand SARS debt and had no choice but to let go. But I would imagine maybe Moroka Swallows also would maybe around 5 million from a tax point of view, depending on how you've done the calculations. I don't think there's any club in the top flight division that's desperate to sell that anybody can come in and just take it as it is without any debts. I mean, look at Lawrence Masala. He got it from Bidvest Vets for close to nothing, but in 6 months' time, he then sold it to Abram Sello because he just couldn't afford the upkeep. He had contracts that had been renewed by Bidvest Vets to other players, and they kicked in on the 1st of July, and he had inherited all of that, and he just couldn't pay it. And in 6 months' time, he had to let go, had to go to the executive committee to ask them to give him special dispensation to sell a status in the middle of the season, and that's when Marumo Gallants came to be.
As far as you know, have there been any offers?
As far as I know, not offers verbally, yes, but not offers in writing and with money in the bank and the PSL.
Well, what's a verbal offer? Meaning what? They're saying, hey,
yes, meaning Andile Kiaofone, like Kiaobuta, are you serious? You say yes, okay, I'm gonna speak to a few people, put money together, let's see what we can do.
So there's been interested parties, but there's not been a solid offer or somebody that said, this is what we're willing to offer.
As far as I know, there's not a firm offer in writing. I just know of verbal discussions that are taking place.
Mazolo Malefe, always appreciate you. At Super Journal, follow him on Twitter, but he really, really wants you to follow him on Instagram. He really, really wants you to follow him there. Right, Mazolo? Did you drop him? Man, let's take a break. When we come back, Coach Duncan Crowe is on the line.
Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
It's your moment. Join Engine, the proud fuel sponsor of the Springboks, for the latest on the Engine Knockout Challenge. Get into rugby program and the Comrades Marathon, where passion meets opportunity, because with us, you are number one. With that being said, joining us is a coach, Duncan Crowley. Coach, it's been so long since we've heard from you. How are you? Are you well?
I am fine. How are you doing? It's
Oh,
not my
no.
fault that you didn't hear me. You don't phone me.
Well, you're busy, Coach. Here you are with Engine, walking the matrimony here. You seem to be doing well, Coach. What's going on? What are Engine cooking up?
Man, Engine, as we all know, I don't have to say it again, it's number one youth soccer tournament in the country, and we've added extra region to our extra province to our calendar this year, so it's getting even bigger. Because at COVID we dropped a few and now we're picking it up again, so it's definitely becoming bigger. And as you know, so many current professional players came through the Engine Knockout Challenge.
Well, it's exciting to see the return of the Engine Knockout Challenge this year, and I can't wait for it. But it's not just coming back, it's coming back better, isn't it? Because it's sorting out a problem and a challenge that South Africans have been having for a very long time, which is identification of talent at a young age.
That is so important, and how you identify talent is one thing. You need to play strength versus strength to see the best. And that is what you get with the Engine Knockout Challenge, because they play it in different provinces, and the best 16 teams in each province for boys under 18 and ladies under 20, they get selected to play, or they play playoffs to get into the tournament proper. And that is how you get strength versus strength. And like I've mentioned, when we talk about strength versus strength, that is when you see the real talent coming out and the challenges. And then it's, of course, up to the coaches to go back to reinforce whatever is good in their team and to strengthen their weaknesses. And that's what it's all about. This year, we've also got a component as far as the coaches are concerned. Thabo Sanong is on board as well. We know he's a renowned coach, Coach Bafana, was involved with Bafana, and other few national teams as well. And what better person there is to learn from that had this experience, and our young coaches can learn from a guy like that.
Thabo Sanong, former under-20 South African coach. You got Brighton Mhlongo, former Orlando Pirates FC goalkeeper, who's in there as well. Kermit Erasmus, who is the current player out at Orlando Pirates, also involved in it. I wonder, Coach, because if I've got a young one that is going to be playing there that I want to give a heads up to say, hey, there's scouts there, there's people wanting to groom your talent. Anything can happen here. We could see you be the next Mofokeng. We could see you be the next big thing in South Africa. What are some of the key things you'd like young players to know when they're playing in these tournaments to be wary of, or to try and put a little bit more work into in order to be scouted or to show themselves above the others?
You see, the most important thing about scouting a player, that goes for any coach. When he scouts a player, he looks for the holistic player. Now, what is a holistic player? It's not only technique and fitness and tactics alone. The most important things that many of us don't work on is the psychological part, the mental attitude. Because remember, they're going to play quite a few games in one day. That puts stress on your body. And, of course, you want to win. You want to go through to the next round. That's also stress on your body. And with that comes the mental strength. Do you have mental strength or don't you have mental strength? If you're going to crack, and even if you're talented as far as technique and tactics are concerned, the coaches will pick that up. So it's not only the stuff that you do at training, like the technical and tactical and conditioning, but also the psychological things. And that is what coaches look for in a player, the holistic development. And many of us, we've seen it at many tournaments. I've been involved with this tournament for a very long time. You see players, they only play when they have the ball. And soccer is about having the ball and not having the ball. The most important thing that the professional coach look for nowadays is for a player that works for the team. And they look at, especially when the team doesn't have the ball, what are the players doing? And that is the advice that I will give our players. Many of us are talented on the ball, but what we do off the ball is something that many of us neglect.
Coach, really appreciate it. It's Engine Knockout Challenge. It is back. Engine, of course, they get into rugby program. They are the official sponsor of the Springboks and also the Comrades Marathon, the official fuel supplier for the Comrades Marathon. Hey, It is your moment. Sports segment is proudly brought to you by Engine, the fuel sponsor of the Springboks and Comrades Marathon. Engine, with us, you are number one. 18:59. We've got to get out of here because in comes a person who the whole country wants to hear from, because we all want to know, which coalition is it? Kenny was here, and I think he actually, I was quite surprised that he was able to outline it so brilliantly in the three choices that the ANC's got to make. I thought it was very well put.
Contextualizing. I think contextualizing everything is actually very important. So that you're able to get a clear understanding. Obviously, there's a little bit of campaigning there because, as you said,
of course, he wants to put himself
included
in
there. You heard with the
Home Affairs.
With the part, Home Affairs and the Patriotic Alliance would actually make a great coalition partner, obviously going forward. But it's good so that we all understand the contextual ability and contextualizing, exactly what does it mean for coalitions. And it's a similar theme that we're going to be following today. But I think we also need a bit of a break from politics, which is going to happen after 8 o'clock.
Next week, I'm Jolo at home.
No, because we really do. Actually, starting this week on Thursday. See, it was supposed to start with me and you, but it looks like I'm going to beat you to it because I'm going to have it after 8. No, let me tell you first. Let me tell you before between 7 and 8. So first up, we're going to be in conversation with the SACP, South African Communist Party. It is the third alliance of the Tripartite Alliance. General Secretary Solima Paila is going to be with us regarding what do they wish for in terms of a working, efficient, effective coalition, especially when it comes to their partner, the African National Congress. Then, did you know we've got an Mpox which is out? Mpox is monkeypox. Right? So the Department of Health is calling for vigilance after 2 more cases of the Mpox or monkeypox have been confirmed in KwaZulu-Natal. We're in conversation with the Health Ministry this evening to establish exactly what is the Mpox, what is monkeypox, because I know chickenpox. I had chickenpox as a kid. Right? I don't know monkeypox. What does monkeypox actually do? So we're dealing with monkeypox, we're dealing with swine flu, we're dealing with COVID, because COVID is still there as well. So there's a lot of diseases that are happening and viruses that are going around. So we're going to get clarity from the Department of Health. And then something that is important for us to note, because it is South Africa's economy. It contracted, as I said, in the first quarter of 2024. What we need to look at is what type of economy do you want to build, especially with the coalition partners? Because we're talking about what will markets do, what will market sentiment actually have, but we're not speaking about economic justice. Yeah. There's no point in us going into coalitions if we're still going to be the most unequal country in the world, right? There's no point in it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that with Duma Kubule, our economist this evening. And then after 8 is definitely after 8 this evening because we're switching it over.
After 8, man. Talk to me. What are we doing?
So this evening, we actually unpacking singlehood. Right? And let me tell you why. We're unpacking singlehood from the context of, is it a blessing or has society made it a curse? And we're going to unpack different nuances of singleness. For example, are married couples comfortable with having single friends? Married women, are you encouraged to have your friends that are single? Is there a threat when it comes to singleness and when it comes to married couples? Does singleness allow you to amass greater wealth than what you would have if you were a couple? Because now you're able to formulate your own trajectory. You're able to say, I want a house, or I want this, your ambitions. Does singleness allow you to further encourage and to be selfish?
With your needs and wants and dreams.
Exactly. Whereas now you have to compromise. So does it diminish or does it add to purpose? Does it, fulfill? And how do you deal with the loneliness of single? Do you have booty calls? Do you, because somehow you need to be able to have the balance.
Talking about my life tonight. President of Singlehood.
And booty calls?
Need to try to figure out, have you ever gone home? You know what the biggest issue with being single is? Trying to figure out, what am I eating tonight every night?
You know what I was going to think you're going to say?
What?
Who's am I going to call for a booty call?
I'm
serious.
Like, you don't need the booty call every day.
What do you mean you don't need a booty call?
You need the food every day.
Yes, you do need But then sometimes, doesn't the booty call, your urges, don't they come alive? And then you're like, what am I going to do?
That's where I will, hey you. Hey stranger.
And then especially because it's winter now.
Hey stranger.
Oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a while. What are you doing? What are you up to?
Come watch a movie with me.
Hey, Netflix and chill. Yeah?
Oh my God. Okay, so
if I call you after 7, you must know. If it comes after 7, Don't answer.
Do you know what a rat you are? So you're telling me that every woman that is listening to this conversation
There's
right now,
no reason for anybody you've never spoken to.
That's been called after 7 o'clock by you. They must know that they were a booty call.
If all we have is a sexual relationship, after I wonder if I call you about 3, 4. No, I was genuinely thinking about you.
So after
7. Chief, I'm trying to convince you. How can I convince this one to come? No, I'll send you, and you don't say Uber. I'll send you Uber Black.
Oh, wow.